We need to talk about some of these new makeup releases, if they're worth trying and worth your hard-earned money. I have been testing some of these out already and have some thoughts, so I thought I would apply them here with you today and share those thoughts at the same time. And some of these are new and I'll be applying them for the first time, so we can check them out together. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Now, before I get to the foundation and concealer I'm using today, Lancome Care and Glow Concealer. This is my third try to get a shade match. And the foundation, CL Tint and Protect SPF 50 Tinted Serum. I'm going to apply a primer to half of my face. I'm thinking this half, the Lancome Solid Serum Primer, which is kind of new but not brand new. I bought this in one of my Sephora hauls, one of my several Sephora hauls. It's got a little spatula in here, and then you lift the top and just scoop some out. It's got hyaluronic acid and niacinamide. It's supposed to smooth your pores and help give you a smooth finish that keeps your makeup on. I want to say they say for 24 hours. Yes, 24 hours. So you can see it's this kind of paste consistency and it turns into this balm-like texture as you apply it. And I just want to apply it to half of my face so you can maybe see the difference in the smoothing of my skin and maybe how the foundation looks. I have not tried this particular foundation over this primer. I accidentally scooped out enough for my entire face. I did not need this much. It feels very silky and very lightweight. It doesn't feel like there's an extra layer of anything, and it doesn't have that silicone feel that a lot of primers do. I don't know if you can see a difference from one side to another in terms of smoothness or anything like that, but it does feel nice, and it is supposed to make a difference over time too, the more you use it. So aside from skincare and the primer, the only thing I applied before this video started was my Plumping City Lips lip gloss to prep my lips for my lip products at the end of the video. It just helps plump, hydrate, and nourish my lips as I sit here and do my makeup. And I went ahead and did my brows because I don't have a new brow product. The shade I picked up in this CL Tinted Serum, I've heard it pronounced CL and Seal, so I'm just going with CL, is 04 Light Medium. It has a cap on here and also a dropper applicator, which I kind of like because I feel like the dropper will get a little bit less messy. They say to apply 6 to 9 drops directly to your face, either with the dropper, your fingers, a sponge, or a brush. I don't usually use the dropper to apply foundation directly to my face, so I put about 8 drops onto the back of my hand. The texture isn't quite as runny as you would think a dropper tinted serum would be. I'm using the light side of this dual purpose NC17 brush from BK Beauty and Nikki LaRose to apply this foundation to the right side of my face so you can see the coverage. This side of the brush applies liquid products so beautifully. A lot of times when I apply foundations with a brush, I need to press it with a sponge after to get out any streaks. I don't have to do that with this brush. It's really beautiful. And you can see how dewy this foundation is and that the coverage level is pretty much medium as it claims. Now I'm going to apply the other half with a dry sponge just so you can see if there's any difference with the coverage level. This is from Beaky on Amazon. I use their products a lot because they're really great for the money. So this foundation has antioxidant properties. It has mineral SPF 50. It doesn't feel heavy or greasy, even though it does have a dewy look to it. It has some soothing, calming ingredients that are great if you have sensitive skin, and it has niacinamide to minimize the look of your pores and to help maintain a healthy skin barrier. Here it is on my entire face, minus my under eyes. I would say it's buildable from light to medium coverage and gives a pretty dewy finish. So if you have normal to dry skin or mature skin, you might really enjoy this, especially if you want added SPF protection, mineral SPF protection in your foundation. I will have my full review of this in my upcoming foundation roundup where I review new and new to me foundations. If you want to see more of those, I'll link that playlist because I do those regularly. But this is what it looks like before it's set, and you'll see it all finished at the end of the video. I'm going to put my trusty Bobbi Brown stick corrector in Bisque under this eye and leave this eye correctorless so you can see the concealer in both ways. Because I have under eye hollows and discoloration, I pinpoint my corrector to counterbalance the discoloration exactly where I need it. I don't extend it out further like people normally do concealer. The lights we film under are much more flattering to the under eye area than everyday lights, by the way. If you're feeling like I don't have circles at all, I feel like when I tilt my head you can see them a little bit better, but you see more discoloration here where I don't have the corrector than over here where I do, although you can still see that hollow a little bit. So I'm going to take this concealer and just dot it where I want it. I'm actually going to put another dot here because this is a medium coverage concealer. It's also got kind of a wet texture. Now, I like to use the warmth of my fingers to blend out most concealers, and that's typically what I've enjoyed doing with this, and I do feel like this shade, why don't I tell you what that shade is much better for me. This is 115C, which is quite a bit lighter than what I felt like I should have been matched to in the beginning. So this is the side that doesn't have any corrector. And I do feel like this concealer gives medium coverage. It looks pretty bright when I first start blending it out, especially under these lights. But I find that I usually need to put a little bit more, even when I use corrector, right at my darkest points of my under eye hollows, and sometimes even in the outer corner, because you can still kind of see that hollow, but it does layer well over itself and look really natural, which is nice. Sometimes that's not the case. I'll also have a full review of this concealer and a concealer roundup as soon as I have enough concealers for it. So I am adding a little bit more on both sides. I might let that sit for about 30 seconds just to get a little bit less liquidy so that I'll get a little bit more coverage from it. You'll note that this layering is only being done right above that tear trough, right above that hollow. I'm not extending it down below because it tends to make me look even more hollowed if I do that. This side of my face has more of a hollow and indentation than the other, so you may be able to still see that, but I think the coverage is there, especially for a medium concealer. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm kind of hard on medium coverage concealers because if you have dark circles, they can still make you look tired, but sometimes they have their place. This one is a really nice one if you need some hydration and you want something that looks really natural. I do wish it had just a tad bit more coverage. Now, if you have some texture you don't want emphasized, that dewiness can emphasize it. And if you're very crease prone under your lash line or your crow's feet like I am, you may want to set this. I am going to set my face using two of my very favorite powders. I don't have a new powder for this video, so I'm going to set using my Pat McGrath Blurring Under Eye Setting Powder in the shade Light. It's very finely milled, very sheer, and it just will take away that reflective shine that can sometimes emphasize that texture under your eyes, and it will just set your under eye area beautifully. And I'm going to set my face with Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder in the shade Pound Cake. I'm dipping the Nikki LaRose BK Beauty N14 brush into this powder, and after pressing out any creases with my finger or the tip of my sponge, I am just going to very lightly press this along my under eye area, just kind of tap it. Do you see how that dip reflection went away when I did that? Because the sheer powder took away that reflection that people think is flattering, but it isn't always. Okay, because this foundation is so dewy, I'm going to blot it just a little bit with a layer or two of a tissue. I mean, this dew is just emphasizing my nasolabial folds, which is never flattering. So I'm just going to do that, and you can see some came off a little bit. That's okay. It was probably just excess product. I'm going to tap this powder into the lid. Now, this is where I'm going to deal with this shine that is inevitably going to crop back up in a couple of hours. So I'm going to take either a damp or dry sponge or one of these little velvet poofs, and I'm just going to dip it into the product so that it's fairly evenly distributed. If you're a little bit scared of powder, just know they're not all created equally. They don't have to look like powder, and they don't when you do things like this. When you press your powder into your skin, it becomes one with your skin so that everything looks like one nice layer. Even though this looks scary right now, it will look really nice in the end, I promise. Dusting powder over the top with a brush is not going to cut it. That shine is just going to come back. So I'm actually going to continue to press it in even further so that it just really melts with my skin. I know this isn't a new product. I just wanted to throw this in here to help some of you out in case you're wondering what to do if you ever have shine like that. That's a little bit too much, but you know, you just have to deal with it. Okay, so that is all pressed in my skin, and I'm going to take the dark side, the powder side of this Nikki LaRose brush that we already used, and just sweep away any excess that we may have. Okay, so the face is complete. I think my pores look really nice. The finish, now that everything is set, looks really natural. I'm very pleased, even with my under eye area, especially for a medium coverage concealer. I don't know, let me know what you think, what you see on camera, but what I'm seeing, I don't know, I'm pretty happy so far. So I have two options for eyes, and I want to somehow be able to use both of these on camera. Now, I've already been testing this out and playing around with it, and I wanted to give you two looks. But I got this Merit limited edition Le Gloss Essential set yesterday, and I'm dying to play. Oh wait, where did it go? I already took it out because I wanted to look at the shade. There are two new products in here that are not available as singles yet. One is a new solo shadow with a sheen. The shade is Glacé. I really want to see what this looks like and how it blends out. And there is a lip pencil that's not available yet in the shade Bespoke, so I will be using that today. In this set, we have the Merit mascara, and we have the brow pomade in a neutral shade. I think it's a clear, so maybe I'll just swipe that over my brows really quickly. And then we have their, I think it's called the Great Skin Serum. Yes, the Great Skin Serum. This is a really nice set in a very giftable, sturdy gift box. If you're wanting to pick this up, it's limited edition. And I also want to tell you about these YSL Couture mini clutches. I've been playing around with these two. I just wore this one, shade 100, in a video, and I was really impressed with this. This is in my regular rotation now. I love the neutral shade and how creamy and smooth these are. I lined with this and there's basically no fallout. And this shimmer shade has this kind of, I don't know, unique topper sparkle aspect to it. It's very flattering and very wearable. This is what a luxury eyeshadow palette should be, in my opinion. So this, I just wanted to give you a quick review, since obviously I can't wear 3 different eye products on my eyes. That just won't work. So let's go ahead and try this Glacé shade. If I could get it open. I do love how tightly these are capped so that they won't dry out. So swatched on the back of my hand, it looks like it's a natural kind of rose gold shade. So I'm going to apply this to this eye. Maybe I'll use this for a base for my Huda Beauty. I don't have any eyeshadow primer on because I find that these solo shadows, you do have to blend them out quickly and they apply rather sheerly. I find kind of patting, pressing, tapping motions works best for the mattes anyway, but this is the only one with the sheen that they have so far. And you know, I love a sheen on my lid. I feel like this is creamier than the mattes. You know what? Let's let this set, see if it creases up while I play on this eye with Pretty Grunge. I'm going to use an eyeshadow primer as I always do when I'm using powder eyeshadows so that they don't crease up and wear better throughout the day, so that my mascara doesn't smudge onto my brow bone and so my liner doesn't smudge. So I'm just pressing and tapping this City Beauty lid lifting treatment on my eyelid. I use this as a primer because it's really great at eliminating creases, crinkles, and giving you a little bit of a lift and smoothing things, but it also makes for a really great primer in the process. I do need to let this sit for a minute before I set it with translucent powder and we can start with shadow. There is something that I can do in the meantime. I can see how this brow serum works in my brows. I mean, it is clear, so I guess I'll just see how it sets up and holds. Okay, we'll see how that goes through the end of the video. And I may go ahead and apply this lip liner. This is a twist up lip liner and there is a sharpener in the end. I love that. I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen it because it came with a rounded tip, which I find a little bit odd. Why didn't it come sharpened? But I mean, good job with putting a sharpener in the end because a lot of twist up pencils don't do that. Okay, let's take a look at this shade and see what Bespoke is all about. Okay, wait, this is sheer. This is really sheer and kind of has this gel texture. This is going over it once. This was 3 times. So I guess, is this a buildable lip pencil? There's no product description for this on their site. I don't see it. It just says lip sheer lip liner. I don't see anything. Let me blot this lip plumper off because I think if I have any lip balm on my lips, it's going to just glide right over it because of the texture. My lips are naturally more pigmented around the perimeter. I don't already have lip liner on. I always get asked that when I have bare lips. I haven't already lined them either. I am getting some pigment from this and it is gliding on very smoothly. There's no tugging. It is a sheer formula that feels hydrating and it's flattering at the same time. I'm actually pleasantly surprised at this. I see why they created it this way. It fits in with their other lip products beautifully. Their lipstick formula is one of my favorites and I love their lip oil as well. And this is a very unique lip liner formula. And you know what else I'm impressed with so far is this Glacé Solo Shadow. It blended out super, super quickly. I'm not even sure if I needed to use that brush, which was one of the Beaky eyeshadow brushes from a new set they came out with. I'll have that linked along with everything else. I use a lot of Beaky's tools because they're widely available on Amazon and they're very inexpensive, but all of the things I've tried so far, I've really liked. I definitely feel like that is set down. It's not going anywhere and I can use this as a pretty sheer base for the Huda Beauty Pretty Grunge and it's not going to affect the overall look. I'm going to set this with translucent powder using that same Nikki LaRose BK Beauty N14 brush I used earlier. And I'm also setting the translucent powder on the other eye from the crease up to my brow bone so that my eyeshadow will blend properly and again to prevent mascara smudging and things like that. But let's just take another look really quickly at this pretty glacé shade. It's sheer, yet it has a little something to it, and it's flattering. I think it's flattering. It's not emphasizing any texture. I think if you had some mascara or mascara and eyeliner, this would be beautiful, and I'm sure they're going to come out with some new shades and a whole line that I can't wait to get my hands on. I'm dipping the BK Beauty Nikki LaRose N12 brush into the shade Love Anarchy, and I'm starting with my lower lash line, which might seem backwards to some of you, but if you have hooded or downturned eyes and you look straight into a mirror, it helps you use your lower lash line as a guideline to give you a perimeter so that you don't go below that line. You see how I just kind of create a little shadow? So it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. I get my smudgy shadow on the bottom lash line and my perimeter, my lift at the same time that will be blended out. I'm switching to the N13 brush with that same shade and I'm using that line we just created as my guide for my crease and transition and just doing sweeping motions. I'm also taking it in that outer corner and kind of sweeping it up. I want a smaller brush here, so I'm actually taking a Sigma E42 to get a denser application in that outer corner. It's amazing what you can do with one shade when you use brushes with different densities. Now I'm taking the shade Fearless on that same brush on the outer third of my lid for a little bit of depth. I'm taking just a clean blending brush and just blending out those edges to soften them a little bit. Now I haven't played with this marble shade yet, so I want to place this on the middle of my eye. I may take it on the entire inner 2/3 of my eye, I'm not sure yet, but this is a really pretty, unique shade. It's kind of purpley. Okay, I love that. I'm taking it all the way to the corner. Okay, so these 2 speckled shades here. Let's check these out and see if we can incorporate these somehow. So we have this deeper one here, and then we have this one. Ooh, what do we want to do? Okay, this one doesn't have quite as much sheen to it as I thought. I might just deepen that outer corner with it a little bit. But I do want to use this one. I'm taking it on my pinky. I'm just going to tap press it on my inner corner. Oh my God, I really, really like this eyeshadow. Do you see how that pops? I'm hoping it comes across on camera how it looks in person. That is so pretty. Now, I am getting a little bit of fallout, not a ton, but a little bit. So you may want to use this before you do your foundation. I'm lining with the black eyeshadow in the palette Renegade with the N11 angled brush from BK Beauty Nikki LaRose by doing a technique I commonly use, which is extending the length of my lower lash line. I put a little flick there, and then I just fill in that area above my lash line on the outer half of my eye to connect everything until it's how I want it. And then I'm taking that N12 brush that we used earlier along my lower lash line into the shade Fearless and smudging out that liner we just did. You don't have to do this, it's just something I like to do for a smokier look, and if I just don't feel like being super precise with my eyeliner. Okay, after curling my lashes and adding mascara, here is that first look, which was very easy to do. It gives a very special look, and I'm hoping the camera is capturing the special sparkle that this shadow is giving, but I really do love it. So I'm gonna go for a more neutral everyday look on this eye, starting with Rise Up, doing the same thing along the bottom lash line that we did a while ago, and taking the same shade in my crease and transition area. It's always harder for me to see if I'm in focus, if I'm not blurred when I'm facing this way because my monitor is over here. So if you see me glancing that way every now and then, that's why. I'm taking the shade Liberty on a Sigma F42. I'm just taking this in my outer third and in my crease to deepen it a little bit. Now you could use a matte shade like the shade Heroin here, but I'm taking the shade Stand Up on the inner 2/3 of my lid, very similar to what I did with the other eye. I just want you to see how this looks so much more everyday and is quicker because we're doing a more neutral look. I actually went ahead and took that almost all the way across. I'm going to take the shade Hope, and I'm making that same little flick mark that I did earlier to give my eye that lift and building it up along my lash line using pressing motions. Again, taking that smudger brush, I'm going to take a mixture of Liberty and Hope just to lighten things up a little bit, and again smudging it so that you don't have to be precise. Now I'm softly blending the shade Heroin along the top of my transition. Most of us here loved us some grunge in the 90s, but we're not really wearing that look in our everyday lives. So I know a lot of you wanted to know if this was a wearable everyday palette for you, and I actually think it really is. I don't think you have to be a grunge person to wear this palette. I mean, these are two wearable looks. I have worn this all day long and it's worn beautifully. If you are going for the more shimmer shades, not this regular one over here, but the ones with more glimmer in them, I would recommend applying them before you do your foundation and maybe even using a gripping type of primer, but I'm liking this more than I thought I would. You probably noticed some shine breakthrough that wasn't emphasizing some good things, wasn't looking too cute. So I did blot just now with my Suppin translucent powder. This is a J Beauty product I picked up in one of my recent Amazon hauls that I've really been liking. I just keep it here for when I get to shine breakthrough because it's a really nice translucent blotting touch-up powder that doesn't cake up. So let's get into this Cheery Cheeks palette from Benefit that I just think is fantastic. You get 3 full-sized Benefit products that are 3 of my favorite Benefit products in here, and it is limited edition for the holidays. I think it's been out of stock at regular Sephora. It may still be in stock at Sephora, at Kohl's, and some other places. I will source it down below where I can find it. So it has Benefit Hula, which is one of my favorite bronzers because it's neutral, it contours beautifully, and also bronzes and looks very natural on my light medium skin tone. And I do need some bronzing, so I'm just kind of taking this haphazardly because honestly my whole face kind of looks pale right now. And this, by the way, is the N15 brush from BK Beauty Nikki LaRose, which I love. I've used this for cream products as well as powder products. You can just see that warmth that's coming through. You're also seeing some of my regular skin tone. This isn't on perfect even skin tone. I woke up with kind of a red spot over here. That's not the bronzer being splotchy. That's just my skin today. But you can see how easily this blends out. Just kind of gives you a nice sun-kissed look without being too red, too orange. It's a really nice no-fail product that's never patchy. Shelly Blush, which is one of my favorite blushes. I'm going in with the dark side of this N17 brush that we used earlier. So beautiful. And Cookie Highlighter, which is one of my favorite all-time highlighters. I just love everything that is in this palette. For some reason, I feel like my lighting never shows highlighter properly. Actually, I think you're getting it. I think you're getting it. Bobbi Brown launched some Luxe Matte lipsticks that I actually like. I'm not usually a fan of matte lipsticks. I find them drying and not very flattering if you have lip lines or texture or dryness or anything like that. These are actually matte and hydrating. So the shade that I'm applying is Sunset Rose, which is described as a light neutral rose. And they're supposed to just deliver those skincare nutrients and hydration and wear for up to 10 hours. And I feel like they do actually wear a decent amount of time and they're comfortable while you wear them, which is something that is quite refreshing for a matte formula. This looks really nice with the lip liner that's in that Merit kit. Okay, so here is everything applied. I gave you my thoughts as we went through for the most part, but just to give you a quick summary, if you're wanting a medium coverage hydrating concealer that looks natural, this is a really nice option. If you have super dark circles, it may not be for you. If you have texture, I do recommend setting it. Again, my full review with more wear tests and things like that will be coming up. Same for the foundation. Filming takes a while, so I've been talking to you, sitting here for a while, and you did see that I had to blot and touch it up, but I mean, it still looks pretty. It's not always ideal to film in foundations like these that aren't super perfecting or full coverage because you can see every little thing. I wouldn't rely on this for your only sunscreen, even though it does have SPF 50, but it does blend out. It minimizes pores. It covers well. It's a nice dewy serum skin tint if you're into that type of product. Full review coming. The Lancome Solid Serum Primer I think is great for all skin types. It's hydrating, yet it doesn't exacerbate shine that you have going on. If you do have oily combination skin, it keeps your makeup on a nice amount of time and smooths, and it just feels really lightweight. It's also a great option if you're looking for a solid product to fly with and you don't want an additional liquid. It's also really pretty and luxurious feeling if you're into that too. And now for an eyeshadow palette that I wasn't even going to buy because I didn't think I'd be into it. I've really been enjoying this. It's way more versatile than what I thought. And I think we got two really nice wearable looks for very different occasions that aren't too over the top that anyone can do. I've worn this palette several times now. It wears well and it's easy to work with. You can do matte looks, shimmer looks, whichever. I also find this Merit Solo Sheen shadow is very on point with the original formula. I know I only had it on for a little bit, but sometimes you can tell if a product is consistent. I'll let you know if I find out otherwise. I like the shade. I like the way it felt and didn't crease right away without a primer under it. I also really like this lip liner way more than I thought I was going to. The shade included. The brow pomade is okay. I've never tried their brow pomade before. It's fine. I'd say it's got a flexible hold. It's not the best holding brow pomade I've ever used. I do like Merit's mascara though. I haven't tried the face oil that's in here, but I do know a lot of people like it. I think that this limited edition lip gloss essentials set is actually a pretty nice set if you're wanting to grab it before it goes out of stock, especially if you're into the whole Merit aesthetic. I like a lot of their products and I have a feeling I'm going to be using these on a regular basis. Now I know we didn't apply this together here on camera, but I did throw in a picture of me wearing it, but this has been a favorite. I love the formula. I love the taupey neutral shade and how silky these are and flattering. So if you're wanting to go the luxury route or give someone a gift that they may not think to buy themselves, this is such a nice option. I can't get over the luxury of this. There are, I believe, 3 other shades to choose from that all have different levels of sheen in each one. There are different finishes. This is cushy. This is not hard, just so you know. You have somebody in your life that you don't know what to buy them and they love beauty in any way, they probably love to receive this. I love everything about the Nikki LaRose BK Beauty collaboration brush set. I think it's fantastic. A lot of thought went into these brushes. I've been playing with them already and have been using each brush in various ways. I do not think you can go wrong with purchasing this brush set. I have a code that lives in my description box for BK Beauty products site-wide. If you want to use it, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but it can save you a little bit of money. And now I know I only shared a few of these BK brushes because I was mostly talking about these, but I've used some off camera too, and I've really enjoyed the ones that I've used, especially for the price. I've shared BK products of various types here on my channel, brushes, sponges, and poofs. The price is great. They're widely available on Amazon, and there are a lot of brushes in this set, so you may want to check this out too if you're on a budget or if you're needing to replace your brushes. I needed a successful product from Bobbi Brown because the skin tint didn't work for me, and we have one. I love this formula. I already said everything I wanted to say about it, but if you also typically don't like matte lipsticks, this might be one that you want to check out. I mean, this is not a flat matte. As you wear it, it does get a little more matte, but it doesn't get uncomfortable, which is lovely. And last but certainly not least, this Benefit Cherry Cheeks palette. You can't go wrong. It's got 3 best-selling Benefit products, 3 of my favorite products in here that are full size. It is limited edition. It may go out of stock, but I mean, I think this is a fantastic buy. It's a product that I will be using a lot because I'm a multitasker. I like to get ready quickly. It would also be fantastic to travel with. So this is a hit from me. For the most part, depending on your wants and needs, most of these are pretty great new releases, new makeup products that you may want to check out. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you tried these? Are there some new releases that you're wanting me to test? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this and found it helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.